Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known. No, sorry, wrong episode. No, that's the right. This is you are not wrong. We are here at Dudes at Ringside podcast. You may see a Ghost Head Nerd Talk background, but it's just an optical illusion because we are. It is not Monday. Don't know when this episode's going to air, but we are here for Dudes at Ringside podcast, and I am here with an awesome gentleman that is absolutely blazing a trail for himself here in the Keystone State, and I know he's going to want to wander because Pennsylvania wrestlers like to wander different states. So introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
Well, Dudes at Ringside podcast, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I am Byron Simmons, your star-spangled strongman, and it is so awesome to be here tonight with you. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, Byron. So, if my internationally in audience, I mean my fans from like the West Coast, like the other side of the country, and also my internationally known and my Australian friends and fans from England and Australia and everybody on the other side of the globe, if they're not familiar with you, introduce yourself.
Well, so I wrestle with Three Legacies Wrestling and a few other promotions, including Susquehanna Wrestling Organization. And on the 24th, I'll actually be back in New Jersey. I know we were just talking about with you being from Long Island. I'll be in Avenel for Wrestling and Recovery. They have a free show next weekend that I'll be at for that.
Wow.
Then you may have also seen me on 3LW's YouTube series Ascend. That would be other spots that catch me right now, and starting to get out and get more places. So excited for that.
That's awesome. So, what's your story? Who trained you?
So I actually trained under Ricardo Rodriguez at 3LW. I started actually about 2 years ago. It was actually, so it's May now. So yeah, it was 2 years ago that I started that. Before that, I trained and I competed in powerlifting and strongman. Both my wife and I did. And in the strongman arena, we both competed at the national level. And in the powerlifting arena, I actually hold the state records for the 220-pound single ply weight class. And my wife, incredibly enough, holds the what's called the Classic Raw division. She holds the state records in two different weight classes.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun with that, and then I had the opportunity to train with Ricardo, and it's been absolutely fantastic. It is such a incredible experience to go from day one to where I am now. Talking to you, it's one of those things that I still think about before I started, and I was like, man, what color shoes do I buy? You know, and how many more things happen after that. But yeah, it's an incredible school right here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, about 30 minutes from where I live in Bainbridge. Yes, we have students who come from as far away as Maryland to train there. It's an incredible academy.
That's awesome. So how long did it take you to find the school?
So this is kind of a funny thing. I was in strongman. I had just gotten back from nationals, and I was thinking about making a change, and I really wanted to pivot into professional wrestling. And my wife and I were looking up some different schools and different places that I could go, and one of them, there's quite a few that are local, including Monster Factory, Mike Quackenbush's school that he has off the top of my head, I don't remember, out by Philadelphia. And we were looking at like, okay, well, we had to coordinate like what days I could drive that far and where can I go and what can I do. And a coworker said to me one day as we were talking about it, he said, they just opened a school over on Centerville Road. And it was like 15 minutes from my job. And I was like, oh, and he goes, yeah, I went to one of their shows. He goes, my kids had a blast. My kids had so much fun. And I was like, that's kind of like that was kind of the light bulb that went off my head, and I was like, well, let me look into these guys. And it was not long after that I was getting signed up and getting started and doing everything.
Mm,
Yeah.
awesome. So what does it feel like to be trained under the mind of Mr. Rodriguez?
There's a lot of I came from a different kind of athletic background into this, and so I've seen a lot of different coaching styles. And I've seen where there are coaches who are the strict, and you're going to do it this way, and I'm not going to explain it to you, you're just going to do it. And then I have seen the coaches who are just kind of like, well, how do you feel about how things went? And the cool thing about Ricardo is that I bring this up every time I talk about this. When you're in the school and you're listening and you're paying attention and you're learning, people don't get put down. It's not, you're never told, that what you did was not, you're never made to feel small for making a mistake. And if there's a correction to be made, you're always encouraged with, this is the next step to make you better. And so there's a phrase that you'll hear sometimes come from Ricardo, that like, he'll say, it's not that it's wrong. And the incredible thing about that as a coach and a teacher and a mentor is that when he's saying that to you, what he's saying is that what you are doing is passable, it is acceptable, you have completed the task efficiently. However, I know that you can do so much more or do so much better.
Hmm.
And that's what takes, I think, the difference between putting out, a student who has a basic understanding of what to do and how to do it versus someone who is working on perfecting the craft. And it's funny to me how when I go to some of these seminars now that I've been to with other professionals in the industry who are that level, and they start talking about things, and you realize that you're hearing the same things over and over. The emphasis on learning the fundamentals and learning, how to do the basic stuff well, and never losing sight that is where it all starts from. And so it really is been a really incredible journey in that way.
Wow.
Mhm.
So for you, being from the bodybuilding world, instead of like most of these people, they've been doing gymnastics and cross county. Oh, they can do that too. Cross country, like the running and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is your training regimen different than most of these wrestlers that you work around all the time?
So in a lot of ways, yes. Because in powerlifting, our training was to emphasize the ability to be as strong as humanly possible for up to 60 seconds in completing one task. So when we walk on the platform for powerlifting and we squat, you have a 60-second time limit to walk out, lift the barbell onto your back, step back, squat down once, stand back up, and re-rack it. That's the entire event. You're going to do that 3 times, and then you'll have 3 benches and 3 deadlifts, and this will happen over the course of a 12-hour period. Um, so it's, you know, I look at pictures of myself from like my last competition, and I look at myself now and I realize that I'm largely the same weight that I was, but the composition is so much different now.
Hmm.
Whereas with that, I was a lot more kind of pot bellied, bottom heavy.
Okay.
Whereas now the increase, the training on, because cardio is key. And the cool thing was that when I came into this, I had conditioning, and I had conditioning from strongman and conditioning from powerlifting, because we trained something called the conjugate method that emphasized 1 day a week called GPP, which is just general physical preparedness. It's training your body to train. So I had to kind of shift the way that I did that, and I've changed the way that I lift. But I still lift every day, which I love to do, and that's separate from if I go in and train at night, and wrestle at the school. But no, it is a very different thing between those two. It's for two very different worlds.
So, when you were younger, who were some of the wrestlers you like idolized?
So okay, so I always um there are two wrestlers who are more related than people might initially realize that always kind of stick out to me as being a big influence on my love of professional wrestling, and they come from two kind of very different realms. So my first memory of being like wrestling is cool
Mm.
what is Mankind.
Okay.
And I remember seeing Mankind in the ring, and I was like, it was like I was up past my bedtime, and I was a kid, and I got to see that Mankind was on TV, and I don't even remember what match it was or who he's with. I just remember the imagery of him with the mask in the ring and all of the people and the spectacle and them slamming each other around, and it was just like, man, this is incredible. And growing up, we had a neighbor who used to record television on VHS. I'm sure you remember you had somebody in your life who just had, VHS tape after VHS tape.
Oh, I haven't hung out with him in years, but my buddy Jimmy Alexander, I'm gonna name drop. I don't care. He probably never watch this episode, but I always thank him in my mind for like getting me to be like this diehard, like hard nosed WWF fan. Someone says WCW, I'm Homer Simpson when he comes in that room and he goes, "Huh." And he stormed. You know that meme when Homer
Yeah,
Simpson's like,
yeah.
"Huh." That's me. Anytime someone said, "Hey Joe, you should watch Nitro."
You're out. You're done.
No, you're fired. Goodbye. Like, yeah, like he had all these WWF tapes. He had a closet that was like Wonka's factory. When the kids hear that, they walk in and goes, dun, 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 dun. Like, open the
Yeah.
closet, and I swear I hear the wheels turning, and then you hear you hear the river. It had every toy that you ever want. It had all the WWF superstars in a box. He had the ring. He had the belt around by the way the kids are supposed to keep it, kids back in the 80s, 90s, you dumbasses. Like keeping the belt not wrapped in its little
Right.
area by the ring. He had it like the ropes were tight. They weren't these loose, flimsy ropes. So you hit the ropes
Yeah.
and the ropes wingle back. He had all the He-Man castles. He had all these games in this one closet. It was just like it became his room eventually. But
Right.
the closet was just full of history. Like, you open the door and you could smell the plastic, the
Right. It was that
toys. You smelled that
I
plastic
sometimes
smell.
make the joke that like that era of the 70s to the 90s when anything could be made out of plastic is like some of just like a peak Americana, when it was just like we can make anything out of rubber or plastic that we want. We can do anything. And there's just so much cool stuff from that era. Well, and I had a neighbor who had a sunroom that was just full of VHS tapes, and
Oh
they
my god.
taped everything, Bonanza, and all these old shows. So I was a kid, and they would babysit me, and I would watch these shows, and I had no idea it wasn't like current television. I had no frame of reference to that. It was just it was tapes on TV. I never
Yeah.
realized what I was watching, and um the other one that sticks out to me is Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah.
And I've been a fan of Andy Kaufman's entirety of work my entire life. But Andy Kaufman's professional wrestling career is one of those things that when I was a kid and I first saw it, and then it just kind of stuck with me with everything else that he did. But it was just one of those. He said that wrestling was America's last great drama, and he in a way kind of showed the totality of it when it went from this in-ring thing to him basically losing his career in acting. reacting over his antics on television to getting slapped on Letterman. You know, he
Yeah.
brought this thing, and at the same time that wrestling is just trying to go mainstream, he was like, let's go mainstream. You know, let's make this
Yeah.
something that happens on Letterman.
And
You know,
that's like the
and
true
you know,
story.
I have a real draw to that. Yeah.
It's the real true story about wrestling and the toys and everything that people touched. And in my brain, I could still smell that smell as I opened the closet, and you could just smell that all those old school toys, like the WWF toys, and they're all sitting in the
Yeah.
closet, like Toy Story. They're like, "Hey, look at that! That's you."
Yeah.
So for you, do you have to like pack your bag accordingly the week of a show? Or is it something that you already know what's going in that bag before you even get the call from the promotion you're wrestling for, knowing, okay, we want this side of you or they want that side of you?
So I have I so for years I never had a gym bag. And I'm talking for like 15 years I didn't have a gym bag, and it drove my wife nuts. Because we would be going to like a competition and I would just be like sticking smelling salts in my pocket.
Ah,
And I would just like put my weight belt around my waist, and I would just put it around my waist and drive to the venue in it. And or I would get like just a random bag, you know, like a like one of those reusable Walmart bags, and I'd be like, yeah, that'll work, and put my shoes in it and go. Um, so my wife, when I started wrestling, uh, right after my debut, she gave me a gym bag, and it's this Adidas red gym bag. I love it. It's a little cube, and it will always have my shoes, scissors, socks, underwear, in the main compartment, because that's the stuff that I need constantly, right? And the scissors sounds crazy, but I can't tell you how many times that you're in a locker room, or you're going to a show, or you're on the way back from a show, or you're setting up for a show, you're tearing down for a show, and somebody goes, "Anybody have scissors?"
yeah.
And I always carry them with me. And then in the side pouch, I always have one piece of what I call like generic gear. And so that's like right now I'm carrying around my fringe pants. So
Mm.
I have a set of blue pants that have white fringe down the side. And so those are in the bag at all times. The reason being that I can do whatever is asked of me. I can wear those pants and do it.
Mm.
So that's kind of my constant thinking with that. And then when I know I have a show, um, then that's when we dial down and like, this is the packing list and this is what I need. And I keep everything in kind of like cubes at the house here, with like, I know that my singlet and my gauntlets are all in one place. So when I'm gonna wear that, I just pull that one out and put it in the bag. So I'm very like kind of weirdly organized in that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know some wrestlers like to go out with the boys or the folks, everybody, the wrestling fans or their wives or kids after a show. Do you pack a dinner so you don't have to go out after the show? Because I know you guys get out at like 12, 1 o'clock after breaking down. So do you go out with the
So
fellas after the show or
um
no?
so I have 3 kids.
Oh, okay.
I got a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Um, and my wife is an absolute rock star. And on show days, um, you know, she brings the kids. She comes. She'll help tear down sometimes. The kids will help tear down sometimes if there's jobs for appropriate ages. Otherwise, they stay out of the way. And some weekends, my parents will take the kids for me. We're very fortunate in that. And so it all kind of depends. But whenever there is a kind of after event or anything, I try to, at the very least, place a to-go order. To go in and, first of all, thank them as a sponsor, because usually that restaurant, that place is usually a sponsor of the event.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big thing that it's hard. You can't ever gauge the return on investment that a sponsor gets out of promoting an indie wrestling show, but it's nice when they do see an immediate response from that, and somebody walks in and says, "Hey, thanks for doing that. I'm just somebody who happened to be on the card that night.
Yeah.
But thank you for making that possible, because you never know that it wasn't their sponsorship that was the funds that made you possible that night."
Yeah.
you know and then the other half of that is that if there are any fans there, if there is anybody there who maybe I didn't catch during intermission or after the show, who still wanted a picture, an autograph, just to say hi, just to sit down and talk, just to tell me they don't like me, I still want to have a little bit of availability there. And then, to your point too, you gotta give the boys a hug before you go home.
Yeah,
You
you gotta
gotta you
give a
got
nice
yeah,
toast, nice
yeah, you
speech,
got to make sure everybody, yeah, you got to make sure everybody had a good night and everybody's okay. I
Yeah.
think it's nice to at least stop in. Yeah.
It and as the fans all can tell, I'm from Pennsylvania, he's from PA. Where's that one place that you, if you don't go out with the fellows, if you're out with your wife and your kids, where's that one restaurant that's in your area? If they're ever in the area that you're in, or you're doing a show for the Legacies or any of those shows, so small
Mhm.
shows, where's that restaurant that you would suggest them instantly to go to?
Oh man, if we were around here and we were just like picking a restaurant to go to,
Yeah,
oh,
because
well, I
PA's
gotta
have
say, so
you
they
can
are,
admit PA has some really good restaurants that are like people
yes,
don't think they should stop there. You know what I mean?
yeah. So they are the 3LW sponsor, but when it comes to a late night place, um, Arugas is
Arugas.
actually, yeah, yeah. They're
I
a
like
little
that
chain out
name.
here. They have like three of them. It's kind of it's a sports bar, and the cool thing is they do some hot honey wings that are just killer. The venue varies a little bit by which location you go to. They have a giant pretzel that they serve, so it's all like just like the kind of food that late night's real easy to eat. It's inexpensive, and a table can split orders. It's just a great little place. That would be like my late night place. There's a there's a little pizzeria though that I like uh pre-show out by Millersville called House of Pizza. Um that my very good friend Phil Fox introduced me to, because he's lived in the area forever. I'm originally from South Jersey, outside of Vineland, and so getting kind of a bearing of certain stuff around here. And he grew up in the Millsville area, and he was like, "Hey, we got to go to House of Pizza," and they just make like the big sandwiches and stuff like that I'm
Ooh,
all about. Yeah.
I live in the Milford area. It's sad to say this. I grew up in New York. The best pizza place, bar none, by me, used to be John's of Arthur Avenue. Sorry, John's, if you're some reason scrolling through and you find me saying this. You're a great pizza place. When I first started here, you guys were great. The pizza changed. Now we go to New Jersey and go to a place called Candy's Pizza.
Ooh.
Yes, and the sauce is delicious. We love their regular pie, but my dad always tries to get a Sicilian pie, and it's nice
Yeah,
and doughy.
I'm a big Sicilian pie fan. I love a good
Oh,
Sicilian
big
pie.
supporter of the Sicilian pizza, like
Yeah.
100%. We can hang, man. We can hang. We can probably me and you probably put that pie away. Or
We
me, you
gotta
and
say
my
we could
dad
stop.
probably put that pie away and just
We shut one down. Yeah.
like I'm trying to get away from the soda, but if I see a thing of Pepsi, I'm just like like ripping the pizza to shreds. But
Yeah.
yeah. So if my fans want to follow you on social media, how can they find you?
So on Instagram, I am the Kilt Man. On uh, YouTube right now, I only have two videos up. I had an eye incident that came up. I was out for a couple of months. I was still wrestling. You saw me in between stuff, but I had something going on. I had scratched corneas on both sides.
Oh God.
And so I was wearing eye patches. I was going back and forth to cornea specialists. And then I would, figure out a way to wrestle. It's all taken care of now. I'm really thankful for that. Mid-Atlantic Cornea has been absolutely phenomenal and took good care of me with that. So I wasn't making them, but I'm going back to it on YouTube. I started a little thing called Hot Dogs and Handshakes, where I was cooking hot dogs and talking about what I've got going on. So we're gonna get back into doing that now that everything's settled with that. And then on Facebook, Byron Simmons, you can find my page there just by searching that. And then, of course, you can always find me on the Three Legacies pages. You can also find some stuff with me on YouTube with Susquehanna Wrestling Organization. And then I'll have to check with Wrestling Recovery for those of you who may be familiar with that up in North Jersey. I know they have a page. I have to see if they post their videos anywhere. But that's the free event next weekend. And then, of course, we also have Zembo Shrine at the end of the month for Three Legacies. Really excited about that. That's going to be huge historic moment.
Awesome. If any of my fans want to pick up any merch, anything of yours, is there anywhere they could find it?
At the shows, I sell all kinds of stuff at shows. I have t-shirts, buttons, stickers, all that kinds of stuff. Recently, I retired a piece of ring gear.
Oh,
Anybody who may have followed my career, the day that I debuted at the Lancaster Convention Center for Downtown Showdown, I wore this blue metallic singlet. And it became known as the Shiny Heiny.
yeah.
And I wore that for a year. And I had some other pieces of ring gear that I wore. I have a gladiator kilt that I wear. That's red, white, and blue that I made. The fringe pants that I made. The new singlet, the new fringe singlet. That's the fireworks singlet that I put together. But the Shiny Heiny unfortunately wore out. And so at the shows right now, I'm offering a 5x7, and it's signed and framed. And inside of the 5x7 in the bottom corner is actually a patch of the Shiny Heiny. And the 5x7 is from that opening show, from that debut show.
Oh wow,
So
that's cool, dude.
yeah,
It's
you get
really
a
cool you
little piece of
framed
history.
it. Like that's really
Yeah.
cool you did that.
Yeah, so you could take it home, and it's a piece of Three Legacies history, piece of my history. So it's really, and honestly, for the people who have brought them home already, just thank you. That's it's cool because it helps me out. And it's cool because you guys value me enough to share something like that and say something like that. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
And they could put it on their wall and be like, oh God, I have a Shiny Heiny on my wall.
There you go. There you go. Anybody who ever wanted a piece of it, they can come get it now.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming on Dudes at Ringside. Don't forget to like this video, share this with all your friends, make this the most most viewed episode of the year. If you're not subscribed to the Joe Panther Variety Show, click that video, subscribe, tell your friends. I want to try to get to 2,000 subscribers before the end of 2025. Definitely give this gentleman follows, and definitely go to all his shows, go to his merch table, buy all his stuff, buy everything that's at his table. Go home with bags like this. Yes, you're walking out the door like this. And he's going, woohoo!
Running out, right?
Yeah, fireworks. But thank you so much for choosing Dudes at Ringside. Thanks for coming on. Don't forget to support independent wrestling. If you're in PA, go try to find your tickets, try to find your shows. Go to Three Legacy. Give these people a shout out because these people are great. I've had Zoe Cannon on this podcast. She's such a sweet person. Zoe's awesome, and I'm so glad to have you on. Please tell Mr. Rodriguez Joe Panther
I'm
III
so
says
glad to
hi.
be here.
And thank you so much.
I will.
I'm Joe Panther III. Your turn.
I'm Byron Simmons, your Star Spangled Strong Man.
And we will catch you in the next one.